Hey guys, it's Tarot and Beyond. In today's Pick a Card reading, we're looking at timelines and timeline jumping. Right now, we're going through a massive timeline, I guess I could say upheaval or a reclamation, depending on what way you want to look at it. But there's a lot of timeline shifting happening, and this can happen at any time, but specifically through this particular time window from about mid-June to end of August is probably going to be the window that we're in, where we're majorly shifting, recalibrating, and aligning to different and hopefully higher timelines. So in this reading, we're going to dive deep and look at what timeline you're aligning to, what timeline you're dropping, how to do that, and things like that. So we've got three groups as usual. Group number one is the I welcome abundance and I will pay attention to the guidance I receive. Group number two is I don't need to find my purpose will find me. Love that. Group two. And then group number three, we have I can find peace in every breath. If you feel called to more than one, that just may mean that there's different timelines that you are aligning to or extricating yourself from, depending on the context. And they could all apply to you too. So just take what resonates, leave the rest, follow your intuition, and we'll see you in your readings. All right. Hi, group number one. Welcome to your reading. You were drawn to the abundance one. So this is I welcome abundance and I will pay attention to the guidance I receive. So this timeline that I'm hearing abandoning. Okay, you're abandoning a timeline where abundance was hard to come by. That's an immediate message coming through very strongly. I can feel it and it's channeling out. So you're literally abandoning the abandonment wound. Oh, this is what it's about. The abandonment wound keeps you stuck in lack. The abandonment wound is like Five of Pentacles energy, where you feel left out in the cold. You don't have enough. You don't have a safe place to call home. You feel like there's nobody taking care of you. You feel alone, isolated, lost. And then that potentially leads to feeling disconnected. And then the resulting lack that comes from that consciousness of separation. So I'm seeing you aligning, but they're real. I keep wanting to say that you're aligning to an abundant timeline. And I do believe that that is true, but Spirit is really emphasizing the fact that you are, I don't know how to phrase it, like misaligning from the old timeline. Like you're getting out of alignment with that abandonment wound timeline and the lack, the scarcity. Yeah, you're getting out of alignment with that to get into alignment with the more than enoughness and this feeling of abundance that's going to come with that. Now, I do want to get some of these cards. I don't remember what this deck is called. It's one of the new ones that was sent in by Yesenia in that huge care package that she sent. And I have another, I just got a notification for another deck that came in the P.O. box. I need to go pick that up. Thank you guys for blessing me with this abundance. I think it's relevant to your message, group number one, because I feel abundant when decks come in. It's like, oh yes, more messages, more energy that I get to explore, more messages I get to deliver, more, passion I get to get curious about with these cards. Okay, so you have what would love do? What would love do? Do you know why it's so easy for us in the unseen to quickly pinpoint your whereabouts? You leave behind footprints of love. Aw, the universe. P.S. The legend of Bigfoot continues. Ooh, interesting. Bigfoot and like Sasquatch, when it comes to timelines, can mean that you're connecting to the inner earth timelines, 2D consciousness, things like that. That could be where you're doing, I'm hearing the word reclamation work, all right? So that could be where you're doing reclamation work to find what you would do when you're in the love frequency and getting free from some kind of like a fossilized, because that's what I think of when I think of 2D and inner earth work. It's a lot of like fossilization of past timelines that have gotten stuck or frozen. And I'm seeing that you're exploring some of these abandonment separation wounds within that 2D layer of the consciousness or the dimensional bandwidth. And then your frequency is shifting up into love. What would love do? And that's what liberates you. I'm also seeing this card, you have more options than you realize. It sure is hard to get really angry at someone when you think of all the reasons you love them, and you can, the universe. So you could be even getting rid of anger at being abandoned, or perceiving that you were left with nothing. Yep, that can definitely bring anger along with it. That can be a way that you're going to purge this out and misalign to the old timeline so you can align to the new one. Also, I'm seeing a message about like realizing how many options you have, because when you're in scarcity mindset, your perspective constricts. You know, it's like looking through a keyhole. You don't see the full picture. You start thinking in very constrictive mindsets, or like I'm hearing like looping behavior. Yeah, looping behavior, looping negative feedback, repetition of these feedback loops that keeps you stuck in a perception of the experience of that lack. Like it's not just a mindset. It's like you actually live that reality, and it just continues to confirm what you fear or what you believe or what you don't want. So I'm seeing you getting out of that, and I'm seeing pay attention. Like when you're trying to get out of scarcity mindset and you're aligning to this new timeline, the real currency of the universe is your attention. Because where your attention goes, energy flows, and vital force energy is the value of creation. That is the real currency. It's vital force energy, and that's directed very directly by your mind. So I'm seeing you, group number one, having more options than you realize open up to you when you start aligning with focusing on what you want, what you love, what sparks joy, how expansive your heart frequency can be, cleaning out the deep layers of the self that may have gotten frozen or stuck in those old timeline loops, and aligning to the energy of abundance. I'm also seeing the word guidance and receive. So be open to receive guidance on how to do this. Some of that we're going to get obviously in this reading, which is why you've been drawn here. But I'm also getting like, pay attention to your guides, pay attention to the oh, I heard emerald. Okay, so emerald heart consciousness could be, that's part of the guardian host. Pay attention to guides aligned to these higher timelines, because it's almost like they anchor that blueprint for you. And when you connect to someone who's on that higher timeline, whether it's a human, an entity, like not entity as in a bad thing, but like an alien consciousness. I don't like that word either. Okay, extraterrestrial, galactic consciousness, whatever. You're able to shift. You're able to shift to that because you have this blueprint that you can work off of and build off of. Okay, we have temperance. I feel like you kind of need to moderate your approach. Actually, this is a synchronicity I started seeing since I did yesterday's reading, which was the next 24 hours reading. And there was a lot of messages coming through about moderation in one of the groups. I can't remember which one. And then I've seen synchronicities about that all morning and all of the rest of today. So there's something here about moderation, group number one, that's going to help you to shift out of this old timeline frequency and align to the new one. Now, can I get more information on that, Spirit, for group number one? Eight of Pentacles. Moderating again your focus. Like, what are you focusing on? Because that's the picture that you're painting. That's the reality that you're creating. If you focus on fear, you're going to create a fear-based reality. If you focus on love, what would love do, and your actions reflecting that, you're going to have that start to mirror back to you in what you're creating, because she's painting canvases here in this image on the Eight of Pentacles. And it's like you have the colors on your easel or on your what's that word? The palette? Yeah, palette. And then your mind, your decision making, your focus, your attention is like the paintbrush, and the colors you choose to pick up are kind of like the emotions, and then you direct those onto the canvas, which is your reality, and you create that. So I'm seeing you actually, they're showing me clairvoyantly, you taking an old canvas, which was like, not that any art is ugly, but like this old canvas that they're showing me is like very gray. It's blotchy. It's like not very visually pleasing. And I feel like there was a lot of frustration with that piece of art. Like you were trying to create something and it just kept not coming out the way you wanted it. In this metaphor, just getting frustrated with your reality. But in this case, it's like the canvas, the art. I'm seeing you getting rid of that, like actually taking it off of the, what is that thing called? The stand? I think that's actually called the easel. I don't know. I'm not an artist in that regard. But I'm seeing you, group number one, taking that canvas off of the easel and being like, okay, I'm not going to work on this anymore because it's clearly not the type of art that I want to produce. It's not the type of art that actually reflects me and my artistic skill and what I'm intending intending being the operative word here, because again, attention and focus is really honed and directed by intention. It's not what I'm intending to create, so I'm not going to do that anymore. And that's, I think, where temperance is talking about moderation, moderating your focus, moderating your attention, moderating your intention and what you're paying energetically into. Two of Wands, I think this is there's going to be a big decision here. Group 1. Group 2, maybe you have some messages in group 2 as well. I don't know what that reading is about. I haven't done it yet. But the Two of Wands here, maybe I just said it because it's the Two of Wands, but it feels to me, group 1, like it's a split. They're telling me 2D consciousness again, 2D consciousness. And I see you, I don't know if it's like you're integrating that and then you're arcing up into this higher timeline or what is happening, but there's a split that occurs and a bifurcation. Yeah, they said bifurcation. Bifurcation of the timeline, meaning that it branches off like that and you get to choose the timeline that's more aligned with you, because again, the timeline you're aligning to is a direct product of the energy, the focus, the attention that you are putting out, that you're creating. Three of Cups. What would love do? And I'm getting again this message about aligning to people who are in that timeline. And what this can actually mean, like practically speaking, is that you're aligning to people who have what you want or who are in the energy of what you want. And it's not so much like looking for someone who has what you want. Like that's less of what I mean here. It's more like feeling into the energy of that timeline. And then what will happen is that, again, because your focus is that paintbrush, because your attention and your intention are going to bring that reality back to you to actually mirror it so you can see it and feel it and touch it and taste it, you're going to have examples of these people or the examples of this type of energy that is going to help you in a really profound way to anchor to the new timeline and then start the process of shifting. Because when we jump timelines, yes, we can do it. Actually, they're giving me the word incongruency, but I want to come back to that in a second. Just hold on, Spirit. Can you remind me of that later, please? Thank you. Okay. But it's like, yes, we jump timelines all the time, and we do this in very subtle ways, but a significant timeline shift requires a lot of work, a lot of self-work, focus, attention, manifestation. Sometimes it's about the divine time as well. Sometimes we can't force it. It's something about like there's a divine order to it, or there's like a gateway that needs to open up, or there's some kind of a grid work that needs to happen, or there's like emotional release that needs to occur. Everything is kind of, they're showing me like a timing clock, like there's this huge different like timing structure. And sometimes we are subject to that. And other times we're able to create timelines and manifest them purely through our intention, our focus, and our actions. But they're bringing me back to the incongruence again. Thank you, Spirit, for reminding me, because when I'm channeling, it's like thoughts go in one ear, out the other. It's very fluid, very present focused. It's hard to like kind of maintain a grip on anything. So incongruency, can you explain that, Spirit? What is that about? They're telling me that if you are incongruent with the current timeline that you've been most recently anchored to, they're showing me footprints, like your footprints have been in that timeline. Oh yeah, didn't they say something about footprints? One of these cards had something about footprints. You leave behind footprints of love. They showed me footprints, and it's like each timeline you're in, you leave behind footprints. Wow. Okay. So can you go back to the message, Spirit? Sorry, I got distracted. When you leave a timeline, you become incongruent to that timeline because you're shifting your focus, or because there's some other catalyst that has caused this shift to occur. You go essentially into no man's land. And that's what they're showing me for you, group number 1, where you're in like this liminal space. You're not quite in the new timeline, nor are you anymore anchored with your feet firmly on the ground in the old timeline. but the imprint of your feet is still in that old timeline, and you haven't yet planted your feet, and the feet represent the root chakra, so this seems significant as well, into the new timeline. So you're kind of like drifting in space. That's what they're showing me clairvoyantly, is like an astronaut kind of like floating in space, not connected to anything. And that is scary. It's very scary. That's the time when most people turn back and they go back to what they know, and they anchor to the old timeline, and they put their feet right back down into those old familiar footprints. Don't do that, group number 1. Don't do that. Because you're meant to get to the new timeline, but it's like exploring a new world. You have to have this adventurous spirit and the courage to be able to endure that liminal space, that void zone where you're floating in no man's land, because it feels really uncomfortable. Like at the physical level, I have been here. I know what it feels like. It's like you kind of oscillate between the two. You're like really hopeful and feeling the energy of that new timeline, but you're also still aware of the old timeline, which is maybe that experience of lack or separation or scarcity and fear that can come from that. And it's like they both feel really tangible, but your reality is kind of confused. And then you can get confused. And then that's again where that self-sabotage can keep you looping in that old program, the old timeline. And they keep bringing this message through, group number 1, about like, don't let that happen. Use your intention and direct it. And they're showing me this astronaut shooting a grappling hook attached to like a wire cord out. And that grappling hook is the hope, the faith, the intention, and the focus. And they're telling me will, your free will, your willpower, your intent. Shooting that grappling hook out, anchoring it to that new planet, let's say in this metaphor, or this new timeline. Getting a firm handle on it, getting a firm grip. You're not there yet. You haven't planted your feet, but you are at least connected to it. And they're showing me that the old timeline still has gravity to it because your old imprint was based there. So it's like that footprint has gravity and it's still trying to pull you back. So you've got to like fight against the gravity of the old timeline and pull yourself with all your upper body strength, which in this case is your willpower, your focus and intention, your faith, your belief, your trust in this process, your paying of attention to the direction you want to go, and pull yourself with all your heart's might towards that new timeline. That is what is going to work. And they're telling me that they are giving you support on that as well. So Spirit is on your side with this. They want you, you belong. They're telling me you belong on that higher timeline, which is not going to be the experience of lack, scarcity. They're telling me that abundance will be your natural state of being, and that's actually how it's meant to be. They're giving me the word inherit, okay? So it's like a spiritual inheritance, or like this is meant for you. You're the soul heir, soul as in S-O-U-L. You are the soul heir of this timeline and all of the abundance that it holds. But it's like, first, you need to extricate yourself, abandon that old timeline, and trust the process of moving into this new one. 2 of Pentacles. Yeah, because you have another 2 here, 2 and 2. You need to split off from the old timeline and trust the process of getting to the other one. And there's imbalance in this, in the middle ground. But you've got to have awareness of this. That's why they brought you to this reading, group number 1, because the more awareness you have of this, the more intentional you can be. If you don't know this is happening, it's a lot easier to get sucked in by the gravity and the familiarity of the old timeline and your feet having imprinted there. So I'm seeing the shift happening and these options opening up for you. You're going to start seeing new options coming in. They're showing me that as well. Like you're going to start seeing the world in a new way, or you're going to have more accessibility. They're giving me that word, accessibility, to more options that you can, and I'm hearing trust, that you can trust and that you can pursue. They're also giving me the word fervor. So fervor, I think that's like feeling enthusiastic or passionate about something. That's what it feels like. Knight of Swords. Yeah, they're showing me the intention, like your focus has to be laser sharp here. Group number 1, laser sharp. Really intend that you are going to this new timeline, that you are not going to stop until you get there, and use all of your thoughts, your will, your intention, your focus to your advantage, because that is what's going to get you from point A to point B in this massive timeline jump that you are pursuing. And like I said, that you are meant to do. The Knight of Swords here, I'm also getting a message about perspective. Again, it's like your perspective is going to broaden, because if you were in this timeline where you were in scarcity, lack, or abandonment or anything like that, again, if you're in fight or flight, you're separated from your whole self and your capacity to be able to create your reality in an empowered way. And that's going to it constricts the keyhole, or the view that you have, the perspective you have on what's possible. And so again, the more that you can intentionally widen that, like kind of force the keyhole to get bigger so you can see more of what is available to you, that's going to help too. So I'm seeing some perspective shifts happening, staying in the energy of love, aligning to people who are connected to that frequency. Yeah, look at that. 2 of Cups. I was getting that from 3 of Cups. 2 of Cups is conversation. I meant to say confirmation, but I was getting communication from the Knight of Swords. So conversate with people who are on the same frequency as that higher timeline. Maybe these are people who are just naturally operating in abundance. Like they don't really have to try at it anymore. That's just their frequency. That's just how they live. They're like, oh yeah, there's always more than enough time. There's always more than enough money. There's always more than enough friendship. There's more than enough love. Here, have some. Be with people like that, because the more that you're around them frequency wise, the more that you are, that's the grappling hook. They just showed me the grappling hook again. That's the grappling hook. You're anchoring in and pulling yourself toward that new timeline. And that is what's going to help land you there firmly. And they're showing me a cat landing on its feet. That could be a synchronicity for you. I was actually seeing that synchronicity last week and the week before. They were showing me a lot of repeating patterns of like, you always land on your feet, and like cats landing on their feet and having a soft landing in some way as well. So I'm seeing that too. Like you're going to land softly but firmly in this new timeline, which is going to be a lot more abundant. I see love, like could be romantic, but I'm just seeing you and your heart just, like big, expanded, loving, excited, passionate about what you're doing and what you're experiencing, and the new options, like the fun new options that are opening up for you. Okay, like we're going to get more information. We're going to dive really deep into this. And they told me to use the Island Time Wellness cards. These were sent in by a subscriber through my Amazon wish list. So thank you for that. Oh, karmic relationship, fleeting triggers, turmoil, resentment, lessons, letting go, and loving you. Okay, this old timeline could have been, again, where you were experiencing lack, scarcity, and abandonment in relationships, feeling separate, feeling isolated, feeling like people don't care, feeling like maybe even experiencing literal karmic relationships, because we do have the 2 of Cups here. And in the distorted shadow sense in that lower timeline, this could have presented as people who do not have your back, who you couldn't trust, who I'm seeing stabbing in the back. Yeah, people who stabbed you in the back. I'm hearing the word deception, or people who deceived you, people who up and left you or ghosted you, emotional neglect, lack of communication, that kind of thing. Okay. And anytime that you tried to reach out for help, or you tried to communicate or express your needs, you got shut down or you got gaslit. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. And I'm seeing, again, it's like you have to let go of that to be able to connect to the new timeline, which means that you have to kind of like almost forget that happened. And this is not to delude yourself or to dissociate or to completely deny the old reality. Like you can accept and acknowledge that happened, but you don't have to take it with you. It actually, Spirit's telling me it's imperative that you don't take it with you. Like stop reliving the past, stop diving into that, stop telling people about what you've experienced. Don't verbalize it, don't express it, don't communicate it. Again, this is not to suppress it. The goal here is to not create more of it. And your voice is very powerful. Your intention, your focus, what you're thinking about, what you're focusing on, they've made that very clear. in this reading, group number 1. And so when you are like, let's say, for example, you get into a new relationship and you find yourself rehashing all of the things in your previous partnerships that didn't work, or how you were treated poorly and things like that. That's the type of energy. It's like you're dragging the baggage with you, and that gravity of the old timeline is going to pull you right back into it. So look at the triggers, like don't deny them or disconnect from them entirely. Look at them, but let go of the resentment, let go of the pain, let go of that heaviness, and choose to jump, literally quantum jump, quantum leap into that new timeline. And I promise you, group number 1, you're going to land on your feet, because Spirit is bringing that through, and Spirit don't bullshit. They tell it like it is, sometimes cryptically, but they tell it like it is. Ooh, girl with a snake. Oh God, okay, I know this feeling very well. Empath and narcissist paradigm, being charmed or used, enabling, and boundaries. Okay, group number 1. Girl, I am right there with you. Coffin on the bottom, endings bring new beginnings, growth, change, liberation, and transition. The old timeline has to die. I literally went out for a walk today and I saw a dead bird. And anytime that I physically see a dead bird in the wild like that, it's always a herald of massive change. Like anytime I've found a dead bird across my path, it has heralded a massive change for me, like an ending of a relationship, an ending of a job, an ending of a way of living, sometimes even moving. And it's always been good though. It's always been liberating. It was tough in the moment, but it always set me free down the road. When it comes to these types of karmic relationships, when it comes to this type of empath narcissist dynamic, I have been in this myself, so I can totally speak to this. And the issue is around boundaries. Like I attracted narcissists because I, as an empath, lacked boundaries. And so I would emotionally try to comfort the narcissist rather than paying attention to how I was feeling and how their treatment was negatively affecting me, even so far as it became like abusive. And so I'm seeing a lot here to do with releasing these old patterns. And it's like very strong force of will. You need to understand why this happened and lay it to rest. And I'm seeing nails in a coffin. Okay, so this could have even come after a period of going through something really challenging and being like, that's it. That's the final straw that broke the camel's back. I saw a camel synchronicity earlier today, and it was a lizard camel. Okay. It was a mount option on Skyrim. It was a lizard camel. And the lizards, for those of us who are in the know, we know negative lizard energy. Okay, draconians, we don't fuck with that shit. And I actually saw railroad spikes. They were bringing through synchronicities about that this week as well. And when I was out for a walk this morning, I saw these like massive, like a foot, I don't know if that's a foot, but it was like, they were like huge, long nails, like big spikes. And I was like, that feels like a final nail in the coffin or something like that. Or that's part of that betrayal wounding and the abandonment timeline. But I'm seeing you laying that to rest, like squashing it, finally closing that chapter, putting it in the ground. Oh yeah, inner earth, literally put it in the ground, let it go, let it rot. It's not going to come with you. That's the thing, is like, you're not taking it with you and letting it rot. You're putting it to rest and moving away from it. That's what's going to open up these new options and opportunities that actually are going to be very, very loving, whether it's romance or otherwise. It's love is love. And it's opening your heart where you can trust, where you can feel safe, where you can really communicate and feel heard and understood, and you can create and you can build on that. And there's a lot more balance. It's not all or nothing, black or white, light or dark. It's this beautiful harmony of you feeling finally safe and protected. That's really the vibe I get. Okay, we're going to close out. Oh no, they actually said there's 2 decks left. Okay, we're going to do this one, and then there's the Energy Oracle as well. Okay, let's see. Universal energy, crown chakra. Tap into your crown chakra to unlock these unlimited possibilities, group number 1, because the options are much more varied and diverse than I think you think they are. They're showing me that you've been living in a box, probably one that was dictated by these past experiences, relationships, imbalances, the lack therein, and the subsequent sort of mind programming that resulted from that kept you looping back in that system, i.e. that timeline. And I'm seeing you connecting to the infinite universal energy. And this is actually, they're showing me that this is actually what's buoying you, raising your frequency enough to go into the liminal space. Because how do you disconnect from a timeline? Well, you have to make some changes to begin with. You don't just like go straight from one timeline to another, like at least not with this kind of a jump. You have to raise your frequency enough through awareness, intention, healing work, boundary setting, consistent. Yeah, I'm seeing like consistent application of what you've learned or what you're continuing to learn in terms of relationships and your heart and abundance. And then from there, you start to lift off. They're showing me that like you get buoyant. You start to rise. Your frequency literally rises and your feet lift off the quote unquote ground. And that's where the imprint still is and the gravity still exists, but you're rising up above it. And they're telling me, cut the dead weight, cut the dead weight. Maybe this is a relationship that you need to let go of physically or emotionally. But they're saying, cut the dead weight. And they keep showing me like a balloon that's tied to the ground. And it's like you have to cut the cord, maybe cords of attachment could be significant. They're showing me my mind's eye, a video I did, I don't know, like last year. It was a long time ago. And it was about cord cutting. So maybe even dig through my old videos and find that one. But we did an actual cord cutting ceremony in that video. Or you could just have the awareness that you need to cut these cords and then go in and do that intentionally. Because again, your intention is law. Group number 1, do not discount how powerful you are. Literally, as I say that, personal power comes out. Thank you, Spirit. Just like mic drop moment, like that's exactly. Your personal power. This is solar plexus chakra. Although since I said sacral, you could have some karmic bonds, karmic contracts, karmic cords in the sacral chakra. That's sexual energy, especially if you've been in sexual relationship with someone. Those may be some cords you need to cut. Group number 1, to be able to fully free yourself from the old timeline and move on and have better and more abundant options. Broken heart. Yeah, this is very clear, very, very clear that the abandonment wound led you to these relationships that kept you in this paradigm. And I'm seeing toxicity, like a toxic paradigm of deconstructive relationships. Like these are relationships that broke you down rather than building you up and left you with nothing but this broken heart. And I'm seeing you recovering from that, recovering from grief, moving on, moving forward, moving up. Transition, they're saying, yeah, transition. You could even have to change the way you work. This could be a karmic relationship with a job. It doesn't have to be romantic or sexual, because I just saw that as well. So take it as it resonates or how it applies to you. This is a reading for lots of people, but I'm seeing those options, like the romantic and the work oriented as well. Door to spirit. Look, the portals are opening, okay? Like the door to this higher timeline is wide open. They are showing it to me clairvoyantly, like a huge light door in the void and darkness of space. And your grappling hook goes right through that doorway into the ground of that timeline. And I'm hearing massively liberated. You are massively liberated. Group number 1, freedom. Yeah, peace with the dove. The garden and the gate. I wasn't going to pull another card, but I felt this one with my hand and I had to look at it. The garden and the gate. The door and the gate. This is portals and gateways. So yes, the door is open. Your personal power has forced it open and you're able to move through it. But there's a little bit here of hesitation. The garden and the gate can talk about a little bit of hesitation to go outside your comfort zone. I think that's why they keep talking about the gravity of the old timeline. Even though it was painful, sometimes the way that our human neurology is wired is less so about what feels good and more so about what is known. Just like the way that our nervous system operates, we tend to gravitate to what is known, even if that's uncomfortable, because it's known. It's like the devil you know kind of situation. And so that's why I feel like they've really emphasized in your reading, group number 1, how scary that liminal space can feel. But they keep just being like, no, drive forward, keep going, anchor to the new timeline, keep pushing toward it. Don't give up. Don't lose sight of what you're doing here. Have the courage to keep going, spread your wings, Open yourself up to all the options that are available for you. Let go of the past. Keep working towards your goal. Don't stop. One foot in front of the other, one step at a time. One octave shift of your frequency and vibration at a time, and you are going to get there, okay? It's just a matter of time is what they're telling me. It's just a matter of time. You're closing out these chapters, closing the old doors. I'm seeing you bolting and locking them shut, closing the vault, setting the code on the vault and then forgetting it. Like all of those things. You're putting that nail in the coffin, all right, group number 1? And this new timeline is going to show up for you. Through other people, you're going to start to notice that you've shifted into the new timeline because the people you're attracting are very beneficial to you. They're actually going to help you heal. They're going to be people you can trust. You're going to be attracted to new jobs with people in them is what they're showing me that you're going to love. Very artistic or creative jobs if that's what you like to do, or the people you're connecting to are just going to really spark your inspiration in whatever it is that you like. So I'm really seeing that. Keep your focus on what would love do. It's like those bracelets where it's like, what would Jesus do? Remind yourself, like have some kind of a reminder, maybe set a reminder on your phone or write something on your arm or something like that about shifting into this new timeline, and keep reminding yourself, like, what would this new timeline me do? What would that new timeline look like? What would the people in that new timeline act like? And then that is what's getting you there. Now, I'm also having a message come up. I was getting synchronicities earlier today about tattoo removal. That could be literal for someone. Maybe you got a tattoo with someone that you were married to or connected with, or this was the karmic relationship. You might want to think about getting that tattoo removed or covered up in some way. Either way, it's like you're removing it from your line of sight, or you're changing it in some way. This could also be metaphor. It doesn't have to be literal. It could be that the tattoo is kind of like this indelible ink of this heartbreak on your soul. And you might have felt like you didn't have options and like that's just the way it was. But no, the new technology can help you remove that, right? And lay it to rest once and for all so you can move on. That's what I'm seeing, is that you're able to remove that old imprint, the old timeline, the old wounding pattern, and get free. Fresh, clear, blank slate, clear karmic slate, basically, like blank karmic slate, to create a new world for yourself, an entirely new life, if you will. Literally, if you will it, it will be so. Group number 1. So that is the reading. That is the message about timeline jumping for you. I really hope this reading was helpful. Let me know how it resonates in the comments below, or if you've been experiencing this type of thing, or how things play out as you move along the trajectory towards anchoring into this higher timeline. I'm sending you lots of love, and higher timeline coding is what Spirit's showing me, because I'm an activator. So I'm sending you timeline coding to help you anchor to that higher timeline that is most aligned with your ideal expression for your greatest and highest good, and your greatest and highest good only. Lots of love, guys. We'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 2. You chose the I don't need to find my purpose will find me card. I just really like this card because this is kind of how manifestation works. It's not so much about what you're pursuing, what you're seeking or pushing for, although that can be part of it. It's more like what you're attracting, what you're allowing into your life is kind of the vibe I'm getting. So when it comes to timeline jumping, when it comes to you shifting in this way, let's get some information. Where are we going to start? Let's go. Let's go with this deck. So for group number 2, Spirit, what do they need to know about timeline jumping? I see this card. Hubba hubba. This is technically a love deck, but they had me pick this one for this reading. So I always go with what they say, what they recommend. You know that dreamy look of deep, soulful love you've sometimes seen in the eyes of another as they gazed into your own. Expect a lot more of it. Woohoo, the universe. Okay, so your purpose could be connected to finding, I'm hearing an equal, somebody who looks at you with love. Doesn't have to be romantic. No, here we go. Yeah, love is the reason. Each person you're in your life is there for a reason, and that reason always has something to do with love, like me, the universe. So your purpose, group number 2, is very much to do with love. And this is the nature of all reality. I mean, like everything, literally everything has to do with love, in my opinion. When I'm working with Spirit, everything is love. It's not like romantic. It's not romantic or platonic. It is universal love, and it's how we connect to each other that allows us to deepen into that love. So I feel like there's a deepening of love. You finding your purpose as you essentially connect more deeply into love. But I'm curious about this one, group number 2. So let me get some more information on what this may look like for you, or what timeline you're currently in, where you're moving, that kind of stuff. Okay, those 2 cards. 5 of Pentacles. Wow. Okay. I see you've been waiting at the door for a while. That's the first thing that jumped up for me, or to me, from this card, was that you're kind of sitting outside feeling like you can't get through that door, like there's something that's maybe barring your access from the other side, trying to find your purpose, trying to find love, trying to find connection, trying to find a reason for being, and having a hard time doing so. We have the Princess of Pentacles as well. So interesting, because purpose, I think that a lot of people sort of enmesh the idea of purpose with what you do for work, which I don't. Like, I don't really correlate purpose and work necessarily. I feel like that's more to do with what you want to do and what you're good at and various other factors. But when it comes to purpose, this feels a lot more like a calling for you, group number 2, or there's some kind of higher motivation, I guess is the right word. There's a higher motivation here. But it kind of feels like in the timeline you've been in, it's maybe been hard for you to find that, or to work toward that, or see progress in that, or to have that kind of come back to you. Maybe you've been offering a lot, or seeking a lot, and looking and doing a lot, and then not really seeing a lot of that come back. The High Priestess. See, because like when I think of purpose, I think of what it is that your soul came here to learn. That's what I think of when I think of purpose. It has nothing to do with the human and money and that, although that can be part of it. If your soul signed up for that type of a lesson, or it needed to resolve some kind of a karmic pattern, or you're evolving through that process, then fine. But to me, purpose it's soul level. It's always soul level, but that's just my perspective. And the High Priestess here kind of tells me that this may be your perspective too, group number 2, because this is what it's all about. It's not so much about the physical reality. You might even experience a lack thereof in the physical reality, either of relationships that are loving, or of financial resources, or of physical health, or something like that. It's like you've been looking or searching for something that you haven't been able to find, which entails that there is a lack, just by, reverse engineering. If you're looking for something, it means you lack it. So this is kind of, or that you perceive, I should say. Let me just preface that by saying you perceive that you lack it, not necessarily that you actually do. And this is kind of what I'm seeing here with the High Priestess, is that your purpose is going to find you, not because you stay still and let it come to you, but because it was within you all along. And it's like, if you're looking for love, you find that love in yourself, and then it manifests externally. Same thing with money. If you're experiencing lack, you start to come into that inner state of abundance, and then you start to feel like, oh, okay, actually everything I need is within me, and it's me regulating my moods and being able to align to trust and love, basically, for myself. That's going to create that in the reality. So I'm seeing you being able to kind of have a higher perspective here, and you're weighing up these 2 options, like the way that she has a ball in one hand and this like wavy thing in the other hand. It feels like you're weighing up 2 options, or you're seeing the differences. I'm hearing apples and oranges, okay? And they did just tell me that's a synchronicity for someone, okay? So apples and oranges, maybe you've been seeing them, or you will start seeing them. And that's Spirit's way of communicating to you that you're weighing up 2 very different things, and they're not actually comparable. But if you do feel called to weigh those things up, there can be a benefit to it. It's not a useless or futile thing to do, because what you're actually doing is learning to discern. You're learning the difference in what this feels like and what that feels like, and what this tastes like and what that tastes like. And so you're able to see through context what you do want, what you don't want, and allow that purpose to be born. Now, that's because this is what it feels like to me, group 2. It's like the purpose is being born from within you, and it's not something that you have to go out and find, but you did have to go out and kind of try all of the samples on the sample platter to see which ones you didn't like. It's process of elimination. That's what it's giving me. For Four of Cups. Yeah, it feels like you've had to experience a lot of contrast, group 2. And the reason that this is coming up in a timeline reading specifically is because you need that contrast, or at least some souls do, not all. I won't go into like soul manifestation types and stuff like that, but basically some souls need contrast to be able to shift frequency, and some souls need sameness. Some souls need to align. It's the same thing, just in different directions. But basically, I'm seeing here group 2 for you, at least most of you, if not all of you, are contrast oriented. And so that means that you kind of need to see what you don't want. You need to see what doesn't work. You need to see what's not fulfilling. You need to feel what doesn't feel good for you to be able to know what you want. The issue with this is that sometimes we get stuck in loops of what we don't want because we don't know that there's something better or different. And this is where it's kind of like, how do you know what love is if you've never been loved properly? How do you know what rich is if you've always been poor? How do you know these things? And this is actually where I'm coming back, circling around back to purpose again, soul level purpose, because this is part of the archetypal storyline of your life, group number 2. That's what I'm seeing and feeling from this reading. It's like you're able to go through these experiences, and even if it feels like you're only getting apples, let's say you want oranges, or you need oranges to be able to compare between the two, and you're only getting apples. And so how are you ever going to know if you like or don't like oranges? But I'm seeing that it's like through this process of perception, through this process of awareness, through this process of continuing to, I'm hearing move forward. Okay, this process of continuing to move forward, even when it feels like there's no movement, or it feels like this door is barred to you, or that you're only going to get the same thing. There is something being offered to you, but it's like it's not coming from the outside. This cup sitting over her head in this meditative pose, it's not coming from the outside. It's going to come from this inner realization. And I'm hearing fed up. Okay, so like some of you may be very fed up with this process. It's like you're not seeing results, or you're not getting what you think you need or what you want. But I'm seeing here that that's actually part of this process. You need to get fed up. You need to be like, I've had enough of this, because that's what almost like catalyzes the shift in your vibration. That's what catalyzes this opportunity, is actually the word I'm hearing. It catalyzes an opportunity for you to be able to attract more and different. Princess of Cups. You do have 2 princesses here. So feminine, young feminine energy. This could be something that you're in, or something you're attracting, or something that you need to connect more to within yourself to be able to like attune. It feels like attunement, attuning to the options that are out there, or exploring new options, because young energy is usually about exploration, curiosity, learning, open-mindedness, being in a beginner mindset. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. And then from that, you get the wisdom. And you may, what I'm seeing also, group 2, is that you may actually, like, the apples could be money, and the oranges could be, I actually just heard physical security. And I'm like, wait, I was going to say something else, Spirit. I was going to say love, and they said physical security. So, but isn't that the same thing, Spirit? Money and physical security? They said no. Right. Okay. They said money can create physical security, but it doesn't necessarily always equal physical security. You can have physical security without a lot of money. You cannot have physical security without a lot of money, and you can have a lot of money and not have physical security. This is kind of why I was going into like the love category with the Princess of Cups. What they're showing me is less like physical security and more like an internal sense of security, the emotional experience of security. But they're telling me that that's physical. But that, like, see, as a human, I think that the way that I'm equating it is like, no, but those are separate things. And they're like, no, it's the same thing. Emotional security is physical security. Oh, right. They're bringing me back. They're bringing me back to the fact that we're talking about timelines here. Okay. So Right. Emotional security equates to physical security in terms of timelines, because you literally align to that reality that is going to reflect back to you the predominant energy signature that you are outputting, that you are in, that you are experiencing and choosing, most importantly, choosing. So I'm getting this, like I never would have expected this to be the message in your reading group number 2, but there's something about like allowing the frustration to be there, because it's catalyzing some kind of exploration or curiosity or dig deeper into what it is you need. Intuition is going to be a big part of this as well. 2 of Cups. Yeah, I mean, with all of the love energy that was in these cards, I was kind of just waiting for a love card to come out, like an actual love card, like the 2 of Cups. So this feels to me like physical security in this case, emotional security, physical security, same thing in this context, it is really through the balance of duality. That's why it's all about contrast for you, group 2, and how that shows up in your external through relationship to other people, all kinds of relationships, and how that is, I mean, I talk about this a lot on the channel, how that is a reflection of what's going on within you as within, so without. So whatever you're embodying, whatever your frequency is doing, you're going to get that mirrored back to you in the external reality, because there is no separation. We are all one, and everyone that you meet is you in a different body, having experienced a different life and a different soul stream, yes, but it's still you. And you're manifesting the types of people, situations, and relationships that are going to mirror back to you either what you need more of, or what is unresolved within you, or what it is that you have not seen. On the bottom of the deck, we have the 3 of Wands. I saw 1414 on the recording time. So that's an activation code for you, group number 2. 1 and 4 makes 5, 5, 5. So there's a transition going on here. You finding what it is that you truly value, and then kind of setting your sights on that, and not necessarily pushing or pursuing for anything, but being very clear on what it is that I'm hearing demand. Okay, like what it is that you demand from your life, or from the people around you, or from yourself. Is more importantly, it's not even about those other people, because again, it's all just a mirror. So it's like what you demand from yourself. And in this case, I'm seeing that in a good context. No, because when I said that, a little bit of my solar plexus went like that. Like when it crunches up like that, it's like, maybe not like 100% true. So it's not necessarily 100% good to demand. I think it's good to intend in this case, but not necessarily to get caught up in trying to control. Yeah, there's a lot of duality here in your reading group too. Wow. Frustrated. Okay, not enough. That's the 5 of Pentacles energy. That's what we were getting there. And then it says frustrated in relationship, lack of confidence, self-sabotage, fear, ego issues, and jealousy. Okay, so frustrated. I mean, that's what I was picking up on energetically. I was like, it feels like there's some kind of frustration here. Feels like there's some kind of like I've had enough, like I'm done with this. I've tried everything. It's not working. I just keep coming up short. There's not enough love, or people suck, or something like that. But it's like, I mean, I know this is probably going to be triggering for some people depending on your level of consciousness, but if you feel like people suck, it's because you hate yourself, or you're mad at yourself, or you're frustrated with yourself. Not necessarily your whole consciousness, but there's a part of you that you're frustrated with. Okay. Karmic relationship. Fleeting triggers, turmoil, resentment, lessons, letting go, and loving you. Yeah, this is actually what your purpose, your soul purpose is all about. And the reason this is coming up in a timeline reading is because I think group number 2, that you are shifting out of a timeline where you were stuck in these loops of karmic relationships, where you were not getting enough of your security needs met. Like I'm talking secure attachment style versus fearful avoidant, anxious, all of the all of the out of alignment security types where we basically just didn't have security from a very young age, enough of a fundamentally young age that the development was skewed based on that insecurity. And it's not like a dig at anyone, because you can't control that. When you're a baby, when you're a kid, you don't have control over how your parents treat you. You are 100% dependent until a certain age, when you can then go out on your own. And we did talk about young energy here. So I feel like, again, this is almost like a soul level coming of age, or a soul level maturity that you're growing into here, group number 2. And this is what's shifting the timeline. Now, how do you do this? How are you getting out of this not enoughness? How are you getting out of these distorted relationship patterns? How are you finding and aligning to what it is that you truly want? And I keep hearing that word demand, like maybe in the positive sense, this is you really being intentional and firm with what it is that you want, in this sense of being like, I demand this from the universe, I'm not going to accept less. Yeah, like I demand this from myself and I'm not going to accept less. I demand respect. I demand boundaries. I demand security. I demand to feel safe. I demand to have a roof over my head and to have somebody who cares about me enough to make sure that I'm doing okay. Like things like that kind of is the vibe I'm getting. And that's what's going to shift this. Paradise. Wow. Okay. Yeah, seriously, this is what's going to shift this. Happiness, expansion, joy, playfulness, oneness, and enjoying each other. Yeah, this is what's going to shift it. And it is directly connected to what your soul came here to experience. It's part of your spiritual journey. It's part of you learning oneness. I heard that very loud from Spirit. It's part of you learning oneness. And as you expand in this way, you're connecting to more of what feels really fulfilling, satisfying. They're showing me somebody being filled up emotionally, energetically, and that creates the security. This is such a bizarre image that they're showing me. I'm going to try and describe it to you, group number 2. They showed me like a person's body outline, like a silhouette, and then it filled up with water, like a waterbed. And what they were showing me was that there was like kind of like pokes or holes in the old timeline version of you like this. And so the water was like sloshing around, and it was kind of like not even in that way. And it would kind of throw you off balance a lot. And then you would go into these other relationships that reflected that back to you, or people poked more holes and stuff like that. And now what I'm seeing is that those holes are being shored up or secured or filled or repaired in some way. And the entire self is filled with this water. And so it's like a firm waterbed. Maybe a waterbed is significant. I haven't seen one of those in ages, like since the 90s. But there's something, I mean, they were synonymous with like romance and love, and they were supposed to be like, so yeah, but if you've ever actually been on one, they're not good for that. So there's something about you being able to fill yourself up here. That's the vibe I'm getting. It's like fill yourself up and then be able to connect with others on that basis, or on that inner security. Victory. This is going to be victorious. Okay. So group 2, like if you're frustrated and you've had enough and you're just like, I don't know what else I can do to really shift this. I don't see something coming in. I feel like I haven't gotten anywhere and I've been going in circles, or I'm not finding the path forward. There is victory. You are moving towards quote unquote paradise here, but it's not an external thing. It's not a person. It's not a location. It's not even really a timeline. It's just you. The timeline, the reality, the physical circumstances, the people, all of that is just a projection from within you. So it feels and seems very real, but it is, but it's what slide you're putting on that projection screen. This whole process has been about you understanding what you were looking at, and then in turn, really reflecting and understanding yourself. The sun. This is very positive. You literally have victory, the sun, paradise, super, super positive. And I'm seeing a breakthrough moment. Now, what prompts this breakthrough moment for group 2 Spirit? Finances. Yeah. Somehow, group 2, your finances and your relationships are connected, and they're telling me again security. So it's like literally your inner security. It manifests in two directions. It manifests in your relationships with other people. And I saw 2222 on the recording time when I was saying that. And then on the other hand, it manifests as your physical resources and your money and expression. Okay, throat chakra and root chakra. Those could be areas to look at for any imbalances or misalignments, blocks, constrictions, whatever. Maybe you need an attunement. I just got that energy as well. Okay, so group 2, a little bit of an attunement here required to shift the energy into this expanded expression of self. Now, I'm hearing the word demand again. They just keep repeating that. So use your voice to demand, to affirm, to communicate, to set boundaries, to speak it out loud, speak it into existence, something like that. It's like speaking on what you want is kind of the vibe I'm getting, or maybe setting financial boundaries with people or asking for support from people. Your reading feels a little bit less tangible than group 1's reading. It's a little bit more of an enigma to me, group 2. I just feel this sense of I can't quite put my finger on what's going on here. And I have an idea and we have some themes, but it's kind of like a little bit all over the place. And maybe that's how you felt as well, because if you can't see the way forward, or the way forward isn't clear, or it's entangled in some way, that may be what is causing frustration here. Because it's like, if I only knew the way, I would do that. But I don't know the way, so how do I do that? It's like, I only have apples, how do I get oranges? I've never had them. I don't even know where to look. And I think that what's actually going on here is that things are actually tangled up, because I've used the word entangled and I've used the word enmeshed, and I'm noticing that. And what is brought to my attention when I'm channeling is directly related to the message. So this could be to do, you literally have karmic relationships, and those are entangled and enmeshed relationships. That's where there's a lack of boundaries, a lack of security, which creates that lack of boundaries. And then there's an over attachment to the other person, and an abandonment on some level of the self. Now, the sun speaks of consciousness bringing things into the light of day, into your awareness. It also speaks of healing, regeneration, rejuvenation, and growth. And then victory here heralds a success, and I'm seeing it. This is a timeline reading we're doing. So this heralds a success that you're able to shift into this paradise timeline. Maybe it's like a happily ever after sort of story arc, or you feel really abundant. You're able to take vacations, going from lack into prosperity, poverty to prosperity, rags to riches kind of story. But I really feel like this is connected to you being able to align to your purpose, demand that you deserve better, not take no for an answer, and stay open to reading the room, in the sense that you're able to see how other people are mirroring back to you your own issues, basically. And not shutting any of that out. Like the more that you shut the door on learning from other people what it is that's going on within you that you're not seeing, the more that this resentment built up, the more that the lack of security was a reflection, the more that the financial and relational insecurities were a part of this as well. So I really see group number 2 that you don't lack anything. You don't lack anything. You just needed to realize that to find what you're looking for, you need to open the door to seeing more. Rhyming always, it happens when I'm channeling and spirit comes through strong. But there's power to that as well, because rhyming, like there's a reason that a lot of spells are done in rhyme. It's because there's power in, first of all, words, but second of all, like rhythmic words, like music, songs. It's because there's more power in something that is harmonious than in something that is like cacophonous or disharmonious. Is that even a word? Disharmonious. There's more power in something that is fluid. And rhyming has meter, it has a pattern to it. It has repetition also, which is part of power and power expression. So aligning to this higher timeline, number one, not closing the door on seeing yourself in everyone and everything around you, no matter how painful that is to admit to yourself. That doesn't mean accepting other people for the things that they may present. Doesn't mean that you say, oh, it's okay that you treat me like crap because you're me. No. It just means you need to treat yourself better if that's what's happening. And it's basically like flip and reverse it. Use the contrast to show you where the disparity is, or where the lack is, or where the wound is that needs to be healed, or where this whatever it is that you're needing, just flip and reverse it every time. And you will have that clarity and you will move towards that victory. Now, the other thing I want to mention before we go here is that you may have a divine expression that is expressed directly through your throat chakra. So singing, speaking, communicating. And I did mention music, so maybe even writing music, because music is a language. I see a lot of things as language. Like, yes, words are obviously a language, but body language is, dance is a language, music is a language. Math is even a language. So there's a lot of different ways of communicating. Synchronicities are a language. Spirit just said, yeah, I talk about that a lot on this channel. Synchronicities, symbols, signs from Spirit, those are all a language as well. Feeling is a language. So there's some kind of expression here that you have, and it's directly connected to your soul level purpose, your gifts, your divine expression. And that's what's actually going to lead you to victory. And I feel like there's been a repression of that due to insecurity, due to a lack of a stable foundation financially, physically, emotionally, etc. And that's what's like, you healing that is what's going to shift you into this higher timeline. So don't shy away from the light. Don't shy away from seeing the darkness within yourself and in others. Just keep shining lights on it, and you're going to get the intuitive understanding of the contrast so that you can reverse engineer the alignment to this paradise that you're creating for yourself. And I keep hearing that word demanding, that you are demanding of yourself and of the world, the universe. It's all in your hands, group number 2. It's all in your hands, and you can do that, okay? With love being the guide, love being the compass, love being the thing that guides you forward through this whole process, okay? So I hope that this reading was helpful. Just take what resonates and leave the rest, but there's a lot of coding in my readings, so it can help to activate certain things and attune your chakras and open your mind and expand your soul so that you can align to these higher timelines, because that's what I do. All right, guys, I love you, and we will see you in the next reading. Bye. All right, hi, group number 3. Welcome to your reading. You chose I can find peace in every breath. Okay, so talking about timeline stuff here, finding peace in every breath. I'm feeling a calm energy coming over me. They're showing me a dove clairvoyantly in my mind's eye. So connecting to your inner peace is definitely being advised here. And doing that consistently, like literally with every breath, it's tough to do. It's tough to do. We live in a kind of chaotic world. Our internal and external realities can be full of all sorts of stuff. But I just get this feeling of the peace is going to help you to shift timelines. And they're saying jump. So this is actually probably a big timeline jump. You know, we shift timelines subtly all the time between different varying degrees of vibration. Like it may oscillate a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down. And there's varying sort of branches or forks off of a particular timeline that we could align to and then back to. And what they're showing me is that this one for you is more like a jump. Like, so it's not going from, yeah, I saw 111. It's an activation code. Okay. So group, oh, more options. I just noticed that. Okay. So sorry. I'm kind of scattered right now in your reading, and I wasn't like that so much in group 2. I mean, a little, but this one, it feels even more. So group 3, it's kind of like you've been jumping from different timeline to different timeline within this one spectrum. And now what's happening is there's a higher one over here that has a whole bunch of different options, and you're kind of like needing to find peace, get to the center, and then you jump up to this one up here. Does that make sense? Okay. You have, I go where you go. Tell me, are you finding that the occasional stranger has a crush on you? That for words you've almost mindlessly chosen, hearts broken too long begin to heal? That eyes sometimes well up with tears when it's time to say goodbye? Remarkable our findings exactly. Psst, your divinity is showing the universe. This is technically a love deck, but Spirit had me use it for this reading. So there's messages within. But I'm actually, the word that's jumping out to me is mindlessly. And I'm seeing it in a positive context here, a kind of like peace, right? Like peace of mind. Peace of mind can come from having no thought. Like peace of mind is like your mind not scrambling and rambling and going all over the place. It's just mindless in a positive sense, not in like an automaton type of way, like an actual just beautiful, empty, everything and nothing, void space type of energy. I also feel I go where you go. The first message I got from this when I looked at this card on this side was about you go wherever you go. You know how like there's this idea of people running away from themselves and they keep finding themselves wherever they go? It's not always the case. Like sometimes you're just literally in a bad environment and you need to get to a different one to experience more ease or more alignment. But there is this trope that's coming to mind of like somebody who tries to run away from their problems and they just keep finding them. So it's like they live in a city and they're like, oh, everyone here is horrible. And then they move to a new city and oh, everyone there is horrible. And it's because you're just taking yourself with you. You're just dragging your issues and your baggage along for the ride. And when we're talking about timeline jumping here, I think this is what they're talking about. It's like you can vary between those timelines, but you're not really going to get that much of a difference until you shift the you that you keep taking with you into those timelines that are limiting the octave, because they keep showing me frequency. And it's like you were operating within one frequency bandwidth that had like this many options within it. And as you shift yourself, now you're opening up options. You have more options than you realize opening up to you through inner peace to be able to align to a whole different octave, a higher octave. It's like getting a whole new set of channels that you can watch on TV. You're able to, oh, all of a sudden now I have this additional package. Yes, and you can still align to the old timeline, but once you're up in these other channels, I don't think you'll want to because you'll realize that it's a lot more healing to be in this new frequency spectrum you're moving into. And I think that there will be some goodbyes that are needed from this. Like you'll have to say goodbye to perhaps old ways of doing things or different versions of yourself. It's like I'm seeing like a ceremonial archetypal funeral. It's almost like having a ritual funeral for this old part of you, like laying these old parts of you to rest. It's giving me this idea of like taking your old stuff that you don't resonate with anymore, that are kind of attached to those old timelines and those old ways of being, putting it in a box and burying it in the ground. It's like you're not physically dying. Nobody's dead. Everyone's still alive, but you're letting that part of you die and grieving and then moving on. There's something about that. And it may also involve, I should say, people. Oh, but I did use the word revolve. Okay. So it may involve the people who revolve around you changing, because it's like your gravitational field, your vibrational frequency is shifting. And so the people who once aligned to you are no longer going to align to you, or rather you are not going to align to them. And you may have to say goodbye to some people. And you probably will also be attracting new people. So you might have more people who were strangers becoming close to you, or you find that you're opening up to them, or you're seeing these people in a new way or in a new light. Oh, okay, that card just, all right, we'll take it. No two flowers are the same, yet all are beautiful in their own way. Comparisons are odious because they presume all other things are equal, which is never the case. Between me and you, the universe. We were talking a lot about contrast and comparisons in group number 2. So if you felt drawn there, or if you came from that reading, this could be confirmation for you. But I'm seeing this energy of like you're shifting from one, like another sort of analogy that they're showing me is like you're shifting from one species of flower. Okay, so you were in like a daisy bush. Are they even bushes? Anyway, you're in like this area that there's a lot of daisies, and now you're shifting into a rose garden, and they're both flowers. And they're both beautiful in their own way, but they're different. And the frequency is literally different. Like roses have a very high frequency energetically. And so you're moving up the octaves. That's what it feels like. Yeah, I'm hearing moving on up. You're moving up the octaves here, and it's through peace. So the more you align to that, the more that you're taking the highest vibrational parts of you with you. Princess of Cups. I do feel like there's some emotional grieving that needs to happen here. I'm seeing like a releasing or a dumping out of some of the old emotional heaviness. And I think that doing some breathing techniques or some conscious, intentional, emotional release is going to help you shift timelines in this way. Also, I'm hearing not comparing yourself to others, because everyone's on their own journey. Everyone's literally on their own timeline. You could be standing next to someone and they're on a different timeline than you. Yeah, like wrap your head around that. Everyone's on different timelines. We can have congruencies, or we can have overlaps, or we can have alignments. We can run parallel to people. We can be in direct opposition of timelines. And it's just the way we experience reality. But the way we experience reality literally dictates the timeline, which is a physical manifestation of what we're embodying at soul level and the frequency we're at. So like you and I right now, group number 3, we're on different timelines to varying degrees. Maybe we're pretty close. Maybe we're jumping onto the same one together by aligning together. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the frequencies match up. So there's something about releasing emotional heaviness or anything that's been weighing you down, anything that's been feeling a bit iffy to you, so that you can, I'm hearing harvest, the word harvest just came through, so that you can harvest the best parts of you, or the rewards that are going to help you jump to that new frequency. King of Wands. Wow. For some of you in this group, if you feel called to do breath of fire, this could be helpful in releasing some of those stuck emotions. Breath of fire is a really intense breathing technique. If you Google it, I'm sure it'll come up and you'll get instructions, or there's probably some YouTube videos on here that'll teach you how to do it. YouTube's great for that. That's why I love it. It's like tutorials, entertainment, anything and everything you could want. And I'm seeing you shifting out this frequency literally like through your breath, but it's from the emotional realm and the energy, and it's all like swirling together to help you to shift. The Chariot, this is moving on up. This is literally the card of movement. She's flying through the air, moving literally in an upward trajectory. So this is ascension, group number 3. You are ascending. That is very, very clear to me here. You're taking yourself with you. So again, just make sure you're only taking the parts that you want to come with you, that you really value, that you need, that you love the most. That's kind of what it feels like. 7 of Swords. Okay, hold on. Queen of Swords. Okay. Yeah, I felt like there's this one on the bottom. I could feel it with my hand, and I kind of felt these two were connected. So the 7 of Swords is this deception, or some kind of an illusion, or betrayal, secrecy, something held behind the back, right? Something you weren't seeing. And the Queen of Swords is the clarity to be able to address these things head on, like actually to confront is the word I'm here, to confronting some of the pain, confronting the emotions, confronting maybe even the people that just don't align with you anymore, or confronting your unwillingness to move on from that. That's kind of just what I got too. Queen of Pentacles. 2 queens back to back here, and a king. You got a lot of royalty. You got a lot of people here. The court cards 1, 2, 3, 4 in your spread here are talking about people. So again, I'm getting that energy of like there's a lot of people around you, either energetically or physically or both. And there's nothing wrong with separating from people who just don't align with you anymore. There doesn't have to be animosity or hate. It doesn't have to be an act of betrayal or abandonment. It can just be that, oh, I've shifted timelines. I'm no longer the person I was before. I still love you. I have no animosity towards you, but I can't necessarily exist in the same physical space or on the same mind level as you, because that's just not the timeline I'm in anymore. And you can wish them well and you can move on. And this, like, again, this could even be a part of yourself that you're doing this with. Okay, we have the 4 of Wands on the bottom. Building a new like, I feel like this was the old timeline and this is the new one. And you've been in this process of kind of like building it out for a while. Yeah, Queen of Pentacles, you've been constructing this for some time. Growing this new garden, I'm hearing. Yeah, you've been growing this new garden, tending to it. So, I mean, it's I'm hearing preserve. It's an act of self-preservation to not let invasive species into that garden that you've cultivated, into that timeline. So you don't want to, because here's another thing, like the law of, they're telling me harmonics, the law of harmonics, but I was going to say like the law of entrainment. It's basically like if you are in one vibration and you're around a lot of other people who are in a slightly lower vibration, you're going to get lowered as a result. Same thing, the opposite direction also applies. If you are at one baseline frequency and you start hanging out with or connecting to or listening to or just any kind of association with people who are oscillating at a higher frequency, they're going to pull you up, because this entrainment is basically frequency always wants to align to the most dominant frequency. And so I think you need to preserve the timeline that you've built for yourself, that you've created, group 3, by not allowing any people who are not on that frequency into that timeline. And it doesn't mean you go no contact with people. Maybe you just limit contact, or you be very discerning about how much energy you're giving or receiving from an individual. It doesn't mean you have to completely ghost people. It's literally like not that extreme. You can just be very hyper aware of the fact that their reality does not have to influence yours. You don't have to take on their truth or look for or seek validation from them, or maybe even trust their opinion, because they're not seeing the full picture. And maybe neither are you, but maybe you have an expanded view, or your view is just different. Oh, okay. The Grim Reaper. The relationship is over. No second chances. Grow and transform your life. Okay. Yeah. Well, spirit got no chill today. They're like, I'm trying to like beat around the bush, pun intended, I guess, because we were talking about like different species of flower bushes. But I was trying to beat around the bush and be like, you don't have to completely cut people off. But Spirit's like, girl, the Grim Reaper, the relationship is over. Cut it off. Grow and transform your life. And it's like sometimes you kind of have to be a little bit ruthless like this to defend and protect what you're building, what you're creating. And the great thing about this is that as you shift your timeline, as you shift your frequency, as you raise it, the people who don't align with you will indirectly benefit from that, because there is a collective ripple effect, because we're all connected. We're not separate. We're all one. So as you shift upwards, you actually make that blueprint accessible, or that timeline or that stamp of energy accessible to a wider range of people. And because higher frequency moves faster, it is disseminated more quickly than a lower frequency timeline. And so the access points are wider and more, I'm hearing bioavailable, okay? Bioavailable to the human race. So it's like you are simultaneously taking care of yourself by aligning to this higher timeline, and also indirectly the other people around as well, because you can offer them a sort of a leg up into that, or some people may coast on your coattails up into that higher timeline, but there's going to be some people who refuse to budge, and those are the people that maybe you just have to fully remove. Ooh, abundance. Keep a positive mindset, manifest exactly what you want, gratitude and bliss. You do have the Queen of Pentacles here, so yeah, I'm seeing foundations, rewards. I just heard rewards. Okay. I was going to say like achievements, the Chariot, you're moving up for sure. And so, okay, like let's say, for example, group 3, that you started out impoverished, and a lot of the people you hung out with were in that energy, like scrounging, saving, lack mindset, not goal oriented or business oriented or whatever. And you start to level up. Now, it's not that you're outgrowing these. Well, I mean, you kind of are outgrowing those people, but like, it's not like you are saying, I'm better than these people because now I'm rich. It's like, no, it's just that you are changing your frequency. You're welcoming in more. And that abundant energy is a signature. It is a frequency. And lack energy is the opposite frequency. It's much more constricted, whereas abundance is much more expanded and open. And so if you are really open and you're hanging out with people who are very, like crunched in and constricted, again, that's going to affect your frequency. It might lower you down, or it might a little bit higher them up, but I wouldn't bank on that. Literally, I wouldn't bank on that. So yeah, your mindset is what's shifting this, your gratitude, your bliss, your peace, all of those things. If you're not new to the manifestation world and how to timeline or quantum shift, you already know this, but a lot of this is interpersonal. I'm seeing a lot of it is interpersonal. And so you are outgrowing and needing to let go of some people or things from the past. Okay, we have the golden mirror, self-absorbed narcissist, one-sided relationship and love bombing. Well, I mean, yeah, you got the Seven of Swords here. I can kind of see how this fits. I mean, okay, yeah, all right. Group 3, letting go of narcissists. This is going to help you level up big time. Like, do not allow that in your life, period, point blank, end of story. No more acceptance of narcissist, grandiose, ego, nothing. Just spot it and immediately shut it down. Get yourself out of there. Set those boundaries. Do what you need to do, like ghost them if you need to. Yeah, the Queen of Swords, she's not afraid to cut people off. And she's very logical about it. She's not emotional. She's just like, this does not serve me. Sorry. Bye. Angel of Strength. And it might take great strength, especially if you're a very compassionate person and you empathize with other people and you can see all these different perspectives and things like that. Yeah, but you've got to understand that what you allow is what you will create more of. And there's no comparison. It's not to say that narcissists are bad people. Maybe they do bad things or they hurt you or hurt others. Yeah, trust me, I know, I've been there. But it's at soul level, they're just going through a process. Like, okay, that's fine. They're still the divine creator, just like you. You're the same thing. You're just experiencing life and reality in very different opposing ways. You're not better than them by cutting them off. You're just preserving your peace. Peace being the operative word here, group 3. Preserve your peace. Have the strength to do that. Having the strength to regulate yourself, having the strength to move towards your goals, having the strength to achieve what you set out to achieve, whether it's financial, emotional, spiritual, all of the above. Yeah, I see all of the above. And you're not squashing anyone under your feet as you rise. And I almost heard rise to fame. Okay, that could be part of the abundance. But you can pull other people up as you go. You're not walking on anyone, but some of those people who are so fixed in their ways and they refuse to budge and they are really toxic. We all know these people. They just need to not come along. They just can't. You got to cut the ropes, the ties that are connecting you to these people energetically. And the broken heart. I mean, yeah, that comes along with it, right? Like the broken heart comes along with having to let go of people. It's almost like we have to grieve the people that we hoped they would be. And that is just as painful as grieving an actual loss of a person. It's like grieving what someone was incapable of becoming, or your hopes for that person to rise with you into this new timeline or this new state of being or this new mindset, this new energy. It's like you have to grieve the fact that some people are just not capable of that. At least not in this lifetime or in this period or whatever it is. Eventually at soul level, we're infinite, we're immortal beings. They'll figure it out. It just might be a couple lifetimes or a couple hundred or 1,000 lifetimes from now. It doesn't really matter. We're infinite. We don't die. We just change form. And so I think having this perspective is important, which is why I'm bringing this up. It's like having a bird's eye view of what's actually going on here so that you can detach a little bit emotionally from the restrictions that you may be placing on yourself in regard to other people in your life and shifting these timelines. This can also be about healing betrayals, having the strength to overcome, feeling strong, being able to create what you want, feeling bold. Yeah. Courage. I see a lot of courage here. But I'm getting this nice balance between like Leo energy and Cancer. Scorpio also just popped into my mind, so that could be part of this as well. These could be you or other people or the energy archetypes that you're in. So actually, wait, hold on. Let's get one of these. 2222 on the recording time. So what is group number 3 need to do to shift into this higher frequency. I mean, we kind of already talked about that. You need to cut some people off. You need to have the strength to walk away from deception, betrayal, which also includes self-deception, self-betrayal, self-abandonment, which happens when we allow really dysfunctional, misaligned people into our life. Connected. Oh, that's heart chakra. Yeah, there's some heart healing to do here. Gratitude. I'm seeing the word gratitude. And then you have self-esteem. I think this is where your biggest breakthrough is going to come. Group number 3 in shifting into this timeline is when you have the self-esteem to say no and to connect to yourself and choose you and allow yourself to heal and allow yourself to raise, whatever that means. Like raise yourself up. Do not let the fear of disappointing others hold you back. And especially if you're dealing with narcissists, you may have been gaslit into believing that any act of self-love was selfish. That's a strong message coming through here. And especially when we're talking about timeline shifting, this could mean literally going no contact with someone, maybe even a parent. Like estrangement can be really liberating and really freeing, especially if your parent is a narcissist or if your partner or whoever, boss, it doesn't matter, anybody in your life that you're in repeated exposure to, they are going to influence you energetically. And that can lower your self-esteem. It can take away your inner peace. It can lower your vibration, like I said. So healing the wound, increasing your own personal power, connecting to yourself. I'm hearing relentlessly connect to yourself and what you need. Like stop abandoning yourself, group number 3, because that's not going to get you where you want to go. You've got to choose you and choose you and choose you and choose you. And then that's going to help you help other people or do the things you want to do or be the best version of you, whatever that happens to look like. But you kind of got to acknowledge that if you want to be a rose, you can't stay in the daisy patch, or more accurately with this narcissist energy here, you can't stay in the dirt patch. You can't stay in the bramble bush, the weed garden. Not the good kind of weed, the bad kind of weeds. Like you got to get up and out of there. And connection to the self is going to increase your self-esteem. That gives you a sense of purpose, a direction, a goal, more inner peace, strength. And then you build out that timeline and you shift into it. So group number 3, this is really what I'm seeing for you in regard to this timeline, this massive quantum shift. It is here for you and it is going to be very abundant. I mean, look, it's abundant. It's powerful. You're going to feel really strong and confident. You're going to be able to show up as a boss, as a leader, maybe even being in the spotlight in some way, if that is something that aligns with you at soul level, right? It's not for everyone. Not every soul wants that or needs that as a catalyst for spiritual evolution, but some do. And this could be a process of you really overcoming some like stage fright or fears of being seen or fears of being gaslit or rejected or judged, manipulated. I'm hearing healing all those wounds, and that gets you into that higher vibration where you have a whole other like book to choose from. It's like a choose your own adventure book is what they're showing me clairvoyantly. And you're going from one that was very limited and tragic to one that has a lot more options, and you can go at your own pace in this new one, and there's no pressure and there's no expectations, and you can just do what feels good. And that's peace. So that's beautiful. I'm very happy to report that message, even though there's a little bit of tough stuff here. Group 3, I hope that this reading was helpful. Just take what resonates and leave the rest. You guys know these are general readings for large groups of people. I'm just tapping into an energy. I don't necessarily know you personally. I'm just reading the energy. I don't know why I'm feeling called to say that. Maybe there's some people here who got triggered. Okay, that's fine. Just look at that trigger, sit with it, use it as a catalyst to shift that timeline. The more expansion of the awareness, the better. I love you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next reading.